And that concludes the playthrough of the video game Don't Open. Hello, everyone. Jcraft here. I play it for you. Here is Jcraft's horror video game review. So, I mentioned a lot throughout the playthrough that this video, this review rather, was going to be pretty short probably. Given that Don't Open is the exact reason I made this review system. I wanted to hold games accountable for, especially horror video games, for how abrupt or short they are, lacking sound, story, which, again, you guys know my 5 category graded system. The gameplay, the story, the sound, the visual and level design, the replayability, all these things. I just, and I don't expect like my review system to be like a bad score and a dev's like, I'm gonna go change the whole game. But it's more so, to lay out guidelines and expectations for future games, and for people that are shopping around and looking for a game that they want. Maybe they come across my video and they go, oh wow, okay, this makes a lot of sense. If I want this game for this reason, I'll get it, but if not, I won't, because Jcraft went in full detail on it. It's the whole point. And so with Don't Open, I don't even think it really is worthy of a hook and sinker intro like I've done on previous videos. It just wouldn't feel right, because I do the hook and sinker on video games that I wholeheartedly want you guys to try. I think it's a good video game to try, and if I did that with Don't Open and then just end the video with the way that I'm planning to, it'd just be really, really weird, So without further ado, let's get into it. Rather, the first section, gameplay mechanics. Again, there was no no gunplay, no enemy AI. There's a lot of subcategories to the gameplay section, but if you don't cover them, it's fine. It's not a big deal. The bottom line is, how did the game feel, right? And the only real strength to this game was that the taco stand simulation was fun. It was kind of appealing, to just click and cook, and send and have the interactions with the customers and everything. But in terms of the controls were, it was a walking simulator. There wasn't really anything special about it. There wasn't a chase scene or anything. It was dialogue and walking simulator. So I gave gameplay mechanics 12 points. Something of like, it didn't necessarily pass the section, but it was the thoughts were there, with a little bit of gameplay in mind. But as you know too, that story and sound are the 2 that I grade the heaviest when it comes to these reviews. It's what I believe makes a video game different from good into a great masterpiece. Especially sound. A lot of video games look over that. But story and atmosphere, the narrative engagement was okay. You had the main character that was just simply talking to themselves, saying, oh, that was a weird nightmare, or oh, that person acted, so there was a little bit, I'd say, but there wasn't enough to where it was a true narrator. And having that allude into the pacing of the story was just like a bullet train. It was short and fast. Again, this is a $5 or $6 game on Steam, so I really didn't expect too crazy much on that. The horror elements to the story were below okay. There was one jump scare, like one that I could say is a jump scare. On paper there's probably like 3 total, but like a true jump scare, there was one, and it wasn't even like a true jump scare in its nature. So the horror elements weren't there. I'm sorry, but they just weren't. It was still a good horror game in its own way, which I'll get into, but yeah. Environmental storytelling was non-existent. That's pretty much what tanked this whole category. If you can't already tell, I gave story 12 points. I wanted to give it lower, but I would have given it lower had I not known that it was a first time game of the dev. So like I said, when there's first time games of the dev, I don't want to absolutely obliterate the game. It's not fair. I want to dress it up with enough constructive criticism, but also not straight up bullying. I just don't think that's right. But yeah, the environmental storytelling is a huge pivotal change when it comes to story and atmosphere, because it is like when you play a video game, just like watching a movie, there are 1,000 different ways to set the immersion, the story, the surroundings, It's not just watching a TV, or it's not just playing a video game. Environmental storytelling, like having little, sticky notes here or there, or a TV playing, or like a radio playing something that's feeding into the story or something like that. It's just little things like that that players passively hear or pay attention to, that is feeding into their lore of the game. You are basically telling them a story. And when you don't have environmental storytelling, you're simply just expecting the player to find their immersion based on the just raw, singular, linear gameplay of your game. And it's wrong. I'm sorry, but when you're a dev for a video game, you have to create, it's fluid. There are so many directions you can go with creating immersion with a story. I mean, the world is your oyster when it comes to video games. It's the same with movies, same with TV shows. And whenever I see game devs not taking advantage of that, it really needs to change. It's something very, very simple. I'm sure it doesn't require that much resources. Just add a little details, snippets here and there. And those are the things that video game players love. Little Easter eggs, that they can post on the Reddit. Hey, did anyone see this? This is pretty cool. So, it's the little things that make a huge difference. But yeah. Now, to get into sound design and music, I was getting ahead of myself with story and atmosphere, but sound design did not do too well. I gave it 10 points. So with sound design, there was no voice acting. There was the jump scare sounds and like the, playing the video game, like the taco stand, people walking, like, your day-to-day sounds that are expected in a video game, but there was no like ambient audio, no soundtrack, no voice acting. There was the typewriter sound of the captions, which again, the voice acting is more so, you're not going to get docked for it, but you're rather going to get bonus points if you have it. I know not all games are going to have voice acting, and in some games that plays into their favor. Like mouthwashing, it was perfectly fine. But again, having said that though, like with the sound in total, it just wasn't there. And when I go over like the jump scare sound, like this game is the perfect example of what not to do with jump scares. When you're getting jump scared as a video game player, you don't want just a like in your face, loud scream, loud sound. Like it might scare probably 50% of players, maybe a little more. It just kind of depends. But like a true jump scare builds on setting the video game player up as opposed to just jumping out of anywhere and scaring them. It's all about the build up, the setup, the surroundings. I mean, to make a true jump scare, it goes so much deeper than people think. Nowadays you can't just have like someone pop up at your screen and scream at you. Like I know everyone remembers that old video where it shows like a car driving on like a highway in the UK, and there's like a zombie that jumps up in front of the camera screaming, and it literally got everyone back in the day. I mean, my parents used it on my siblings, and it scared the crap out of us. And it was funny, and it created a memorable moment, and it became a very, very viral video. However, nowadays, times have shifted. That's not how people get scared nowadays. They get scared through weird tension, through the uncanny valley effect. They get scared through, again, setting up the environment for the jump scare. You got to build a calm, tense environment, and then bam, have them hit it all at once. Because this game was so short and sweet, I don't think there was enough time for us as the player to even build a sort of sense of comfort within the game to get jump scared. So, again, the sound design, it was really disappointing for me to have to go through and to experience. But here we are. So visual and level design, I ended up giving it 12 points. There's nothing, there's nothing crazy to do with visual and level design. The graphics were basically what you get for a $5 game. The lighting did the job. There was no real level variety. There was a sense of variety in the customer that you got. But as far as I can tell, I can't find any further information on the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the variety is not true variety. Like if you were to play the game again and get like a different variation of, it's going to be the same customers. But playing the game the first time, you have that sense of like, all right, who's going to come up to my stand, right? Um, the level variety, it wasn't quite there. And again, not all games are going to have that sense of level variety, and that's okay. The visual and level design, it's built for how amazing does the environment look. You don't have to have a ever-changing environment. It's cool if you do, like in Dollmare, but it's not necessarily a requirement to pass this section. I've passed games on this section that have the same level, but it looks clean, but this was not the case in this game. And sometimes, even like with mouthwashing, where their own graphics was set to build for their flavor of their game. This one, I don't think it really helped it or fed into it or created that stigma. In fact, I think it kind of fed off the community horror slop that I created this review system for, which was that like what's it called, the PX1 graphic style or PlayStation style. But anywho, replayability again ended up giving it 10 points. Difficulty was not difficult whatsoever. There was no chase. It was just an interactive dialogue. And here's the strong point is that it was a streaming game. The game is recent, but for a gamer, it would not hold up in today's climate. If you're just a everyday video game enjoyer, you're not gonna have fun with this game. Me personally, I actually enjoyed this game, but only because I was streaming it. So, and I will feed all of this kind of into my conclusion because they kind of tie to the replayability and the score a little bit. But if you've done the math already, Don't Open's score is a grand total of 56 points, which is the worst score I've ever given to a game on this YouTube channel. I try really hard to give a fair, just grading system. And if a score is really low, I even go back to see, okay, maybe there's something I missed, because I am, I would say afraid, but like, I just don't want to grade a game incorrectly and have the pitchforks. And I know each community is different, but that's why I created like a fully in-depth review system. So if someone comes out and says, hey, you graded this game this, and I enjoyed it, and I can actually give them a printout of my Word document saying, these are my observations. They're not going to care because that's the internet and that's how it works. But still, it gives me peace of mind. But yeah, with Don't Open, it was a game. it was something. But if you were a streamer, would highly recommend buying this game. It is a fun game to stream to a community to get a good React content out of. There's a lot of like cheeky one-off, instances in here that are funny to play off of as a content creator. As a video game player, though, I would not recommend this game in the slightest. And this is the exact reason I created this review system, is that, I think a video game that a streamer plays essentially is them trying to advertise the game to entice you to want to play it as well. Essentially, that's what it is at its core. You might not think it because you're like, this person is just entertainment for me. I don't really want to play the game. But if you see that game, you go, oh, I remember that person playing that game and they had a lot of fun. Maybe I could give it a shot. So passively, there is advertisement to it, which is why Queso is so successful with this horror variety content. It makes sense. But, with games like this, it's unfair because the content creators, it's easy for them to make content. It's fun for their chat to get involved and poke at the little plot holes in the way the customers are running around. But then if you see this stream and you go, wow, Jcraft had a lot of fun playing this game, I'm going to buy it and play it myself. You are not going to have fun. It's going to be maybe like a 45-minute experience, and there's going to be like 2 endings, and I got the safe ending by not opening the door. The game is called Don't Open. So I didn't open the door, and it literally said, you saved the person and you were fine. Thanks for playing. So, again, this is a first-time game, so I'm not going to go terribly difficult into it because I want to think that it's not a polished product yet. It's actually so fresh that I can't find any fun facts about it, other than the fact that it is their first indie game, and it was said to me at the rolling credits. So there you have it, folks. That is my review on Don't Open. I hope you enjoyed it, Jaywalkers. I always love doing this stuff. This obviously wasn't the score that we wanted, but when we finished the stream, everyone in my chat was like, yeah, this review is going to be fun. So we kind of anticipated it, but I want on my YouTube channel to cover every which way kind of game, AAA, indie, anonymously, story driven, combat, the whole 9 yards. The only thing I can't really figure out yet is like, the horror friend slop where it's like co-op games. I got to figure out a good way to review those. I got to create up my own separate grading system. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this review as much as I did creating it. Y'all stay frosty, Jaywalkers, and as always, let me know in the comments if what you think I should be doing better or different on this video. This video is going to be really short and sweet, and might have a few cutaways, but again, it was a really, really rough game to get through. But looking on forward to the next one, which this Friday we'll be playing the Paynes Creek Killings. So make sure to tune in the stream to check it on out. Thanks, everyone.